Hey! Hey you guys, we're done with 2020. Now we're in 2021. So you know what that means. 2021. Bookish resolution goals. Get it.
Yeah, I know I look good. Yeah, I look fly. Baby, I'm just your type. I'm a baddie.
Hey you guys, my name's Tamika. This is my channel, Tamika Michelle, and today I'ma get a little wine. And this wine is Save Me San Francisco Wine Incorporated, and the name, it is a 2013 Pinot Noir called Soul Sister. So yeah, I've already started on this, but I was gonna finish it off with you guys. I just want to tell you about it because it's actually really good, so go get it. My homegirl gave it to me as a gift, and I'm gonna have to ask her where she bought it at. Okay. All right, guys, so now I have my glass of wine. We can get started on these 2021 bookish New Year's resolution goals. I'm super excited. I have 5 that I'm gonna share with you, but let's start with the beginning. This year, my Goodreads book reading goal this year is 100 books. Now you guys, it's been a while since I, Tamika, okay, with the M of Michelle, has read 100 books in a year. It's been some years. Actually, last year I read 56, and I didn't start reading until about July. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't start reading until July, and I was able to get through 56. So I was like, hey, if I can do that with essentially half the year, then if I add the other half of the year from trying, then I should be able to do 100. So I'm looking really forward to seeing if I can not only meet it, but maybe, just maybe, I'll exceed it. With that said, within those 100 books will be the rest of my goals. This year's theme is really stepping out of myself, trying something new, being a little bit different. The first on my goals list is reading 10 classics. I like to throw this on here because I'm not a big classics person. I never read Moby Dick. I've never read Peter Pan. I've seen all of Jane Austen's movies. I've never read any of her books. So there's a lot that I gotta do. I think I read some horror classics. I know Dorian Gray, I know I read that one. And honestly, I may read it again. I actually like that one a lot. But I wanna read some more. I've never read Frankenstein, none of it. So I really wanna get into some classic literature. And it's so funny because what is considered a classic now, right? After what year? Anything written in the 70s, is that a classic? But 80s, is that a classic? 90s? At what point are we no longer a classic? But I am going to definitely try to read some more mature, long-lasting. I'm going to be reading classic literature. Yeah. The next on my list is actually reading 5. Only 5 because, there's a chance I could do maybe more than 5, but who will want to? But I'm gonna read 5 nonfiction books. Yes, nonfiction. I'm really not a big nonfiction person. And what's so funny is I understand the argument for nonfiction, but I'm like, isn't reading supposed to be fun in a sense of, being able to take you out of your world and go into a whole new place and getting lost in the pages? I'm not getting lost in nonfiction. If I'm getting lost, it's completely left me. Let me close the book. I'm done with it, right? But I'm actually really, really looking forward to looking into some other topics that I'm interested in and actually reading some nonfiction books. If I'm lucky, maybe I'll read a nonfiction book a month, but I didn't want to set myself up for failure. So I said 5, even though it probably should say 12, but 5. We're gonna do 5. If we exceeded, that's okay. But if we just meet 5, we did what we said. Cheers to that. Now, this next one is actually up my alley, but I've fallen off of it, right? Which is the reason why I had to put it on the list. I'm gonna read at the very least 10 translated books. That's including mangas and manhwas. So as you know, I'm really into K-dramas, and I've been learning that a lot of the K-dramas I like are manhwas, right? So I was like, I want to do some more manhwa readings and comparing them to the shows. So that's something that I definitely want to do with you guys. Hopefully I'll be able to maybe read some mangas and compare them to the anime. We'll see. We shall see. But I definitely just want to read more of it. If I love the show, I really should read the source material, and I've always been a big fan of that. So that's definitely what I'm going to be doing. But not just that, I actually want to read novels in general that were just translated into English. So I don't know too many off the top of my head, but I'm sure Goodreads has a list somewhere, and I'll just choose from that. If you actually know some really good translated books, feel free down below. Tell me, what are some of the translated books you would recommend? Now this next one's kind of a new category for me. A category I wouldn't have necessarily thought about, but I plan on reading at least 3. Seems a bit small, but after a while, I could be wrong. I know people who are really big in this world, this community, but for me, I'm gonna read at least 3 poetry collections. So I'm gonna find me some poetry collection books and read at least 3 of them. I really did enjoy Amanda Lovelace. I know some called it tripe. I think that was a word I heard someone said about her book, but I really liked it, Amanda Lovelace. I really did enjoy it. Milk and Honey, I enjoyed that, and I have another one. So the 2 poetry collections that I own, but I've already read them. The Sun and Her Flowers by Rupi Kaur. Did I finish this? You know what? I don't think I read it. I read the first book, which was Milk and Honey, but I don't think I read this one. I have to check my Goodreads, but if I have, you know what? Regardless of my Goodreads, the fact that I remember nothing about this book tells me everything I need to know. This will probably be one of the books. Another book, and this was, I think, her second, and actually I've read the whole thing. I think 4 books came out in this collection, and that's Amanda Lovelace, The Princess Saves Herself in this one. I visit Chicago for the first time, and I told myself I'm in Chicago, the least I can do is just check out one of their bookstores. And so I found a bookstore in the GPS. I wandered down the weirdest, most beautiful, engaging tunnel I've ever been in. And I found this little bookstore underground. And I was really intrigued to say, I've got to purchase a book from here. And I saw this poetry collection, and it just it hit me right. And it was just a little read that I needed on my work trip that I was on. And so I kind of have like a little soft spot in my heart for this particular book in general, for what it stood for. But more in general, I just really like Amanda Lovelace. Like, does anyone else like Amanda Lovelace? Did anyone else read like Milk and Honey? Was it just me? But either way, we're gonna be reading more poetry. But also on this list, and that is books written in verse. And actually the only book I've ever read in verse is by Elizabeth Acevedo, and that is The Poet X. And if you have not read it, read it. Read it. Actually, you know, I have a homegirl, Isis. She would love that book. But I heard there's another book, and I got a video coming out with my most anticipated reads coming out in January. And on the list is a book written in verse. So yeah, I'm really excited to be diving into poetry, books written in verse. Is this even a genre? Because if it is, I'm gonna look on Goodreads. I feel like that's what Goodreads is for. Finding things that I'm looking for. My last one is actually one that shouldn't come to no surprise to you. I read a lot of YA books. A crap ton of YA books. So my challenge this year is to read at least 10 adult books. Now, out of 100, you're probably thinking to yourself, these numbers, what else are you doing? I got one for y'all. I got a bonus one. This one's not even on the list. This is a bonus. I'm going to read 10. Now you got me on camera. 10 children and or middle grade books. Woo! I am not the biggest fan of that genre. Like, there's some that I've read, but they're almost so immature because I get it, they're children, that it just, it's tough to read children's when you know, because you know, when we're kids, we do really dumb things. We're still learning, we're still understanding the world. And so, of course, that's what these characters do in a lot of these children books. And sometimes it's tough to read. But I got some books on my shelf that are actually meant for children, but they look hard to read. I'm not gonna lie. Listen, look at this. I believe this is a middle grade book. Look at, first of all, the thickness, okay? Look at that thickness. She got body, okay? On top of that, these are Jesus pages. You know, these are biblical pages. They're thin, and this is I think this book is definitely, yeah, so this book is middle grade. And this is thicker than some of my YA and adult books, okay? So, finally, I will pick this book up, which I hope is, yeah, so I'll finally pick this book up as well. This is When the Sea Turned Silver by Grace Lynn. I actually met her and got this book signed. I'm yet to read her book, but I read one of her books, but it just wasn't this one. I've now given you my bookish dreams, my goals, my aspirations, my resolutions, whatever you may call them. And this year will be one reading year to remember. I'm looking forward to hearing what your resolutions are. Maybe they're bookish, maybe they're not. Let me know down below. What are you gonna do this year? How is this year gonna be different for you? Or at least you're gonna try something different this year. I look forward to hearing your comments below. And as always, till next time.